different classes. One of my favorites that I want to just tell everybody about is a question and answer panel every Tuesday from 5 to 6 p.m. with Rabbi Akiva Tatz. So it's really fascinating, 5 to 6 p.m. You can find information about that. We have a lot of other different classes going on as well. Also, I want to give a special shout out. I know there's many on this call and there's others who are not on this call. Students, young professionals, alumni who are first responders, medical professionals, and really put themselves out on the line for everyone during this time. And a very, very big shout out to all of them and their families for what they've done. I want to also just make one more announcement before Rabbi Hagiel begins. And everyone on this call, you guys are going to be the first to know, okay? We're going to be sending out an email later tonight that, God willing, next Sunday, a week from today, we're going to be launching the Emet fundraising charity campaign 2020. It was originally scheduled for March. We pushed it off because of Corona. And it's going to be this Sunday. It's going to be a very exciting campaign. And during the campaign, each night of the campaign, we're going to go live from Kaiko Studio. And we're going to have 3 to 5 hours of programming live with very interesting speakers and entertainment, some really, really great stuff. So please check out for this. And I ask everyone, if you can, to please share the word during the campaign. This is a very important campaign for Emet. It allows us to keep growing and keep sustaining what we've been able to do. And I want to say one more thing. If there's anyone on this call that needs anything that one of our Emet staff members could help you with in any way during this time or in general, please don't be shy. Please reach out to us, and we'll try our best to help out. So, Sarah, before Rabbi Hagiel starts, I just want to mention also that there's something wrong with I want to mention that during the HQ game, Sarah, I think your phone needs to be. During the HQ game at the end, HQ Light game at the end, a few of the questions are going to be based on things that Rabbi Hagiel says in his class. So all of them are sort of dating, relationship type questions that I want to give a very special shout out to Esther. Esther, are you on?
Yeah, I'm on. Hi.
Okay, thank you, Esther, for putting the time and organizing this. And we are a few of the questions. Esther, how many questions are based on what Rabbi Hagiel is going to say?
2.
2 questions?
Yeah.
Okay, so listen carefully to Rabbi Hagiel, and Rabbi Hagiel doesn't really need much of an introduction. Really amazing speaker, author, human being who cares so much about people and has helped guide so many young adults and families through their Jewish journey. And it's really a pleasure to have Rabbi Hagiel with us tonight.
Thank you, Rabbi Rutenberg. Thank you, Sarah B. Thank you, Esther, and everyone who's watching with us today. On behalf of Emet, it's a real pleasure and a privilege, as well as being on Facebook Live. I'll ask you all, I'd love to see your faces if possible on Zoom, but just put yourselves onto...
Are you on Facebook Live yourself right now?
Yeah, I am, yeah.
Okay,
on my page.
I'm gonna share it because I couldn't do it. It wasn't
Great.
working from my end.
Go right ahead.
Is it on your like page or on your main page?
My Rabbi Lawrence Hadjoff page right now, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to do that. I'm just going to put everybody on mute, which means that you're going to go on mute. Just unmute yourself,
Got
okay?
it.
Okay, Rabbi.
Okay, friends. So the topic is habits of successful daters. And I've got a lot to tell you. I could speak for many hours and days on this topic, which I do already. I wrote a book on it, which you can see behind me. I want to crunch in just a few ideas because whether you're in the world of dating or planning to go into it or helping those people who are in the world of dating, there's a lot of information you need. First of all, I'm going to start with a quick story, a true story that happened to me. And then we're going to just open up to a few ideas and we'll take questions at the end, which I'm really happy to take from you guys. A number of years ago, there was a young couple that came to see me, which happens a lot. Usually when couples come to see rabbis, they don't come with great news, usually challenges they're going through. And this was one of those occasions. And the couple came to sit with me. And I said, how can I help? And she said, Rabbi, I want to get married. And I said, I'm flattered, but I'm already married. She said, no, not to you, to him. and she pointed out her boyfriend. She was, I think, 23, 24. He was 25. They were both in law school, but different years of law school. One was in Fordham, one was in Cardozo. And they wanted to get married. However, he wasn't ready. He needed, he said, about 5 years. He wasn't in the zone. He was still in law school. He wanted to get a job. He had a lot of debt. And she was ready in the next year or so. So I had a challenge. I had this beautiful young Jewish lady who wanted to get engaged within a year and a half. And a guy who wasn't in the zone at all and needed 4 or 5 years. I've asked this question to hundreds, if not thousands, of young Jewish men and women to say, how would you recommend them to proceed? And the answers I get to that question are varied. Some say they should compromise and choose 3 years. Some say he should allow himself to get married within a year. Some say she should wait and have patience, wait till he's ready. Some say they should break up right now. Some say they should get married immediately. I've heard every option to this story, but I don't tell people what to do because they don't really listen to me. I just kind of tell you the consequence of your actions. What I did was, I asked them the following question. I said, on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being the least, 10 being the most, if you were to break up right now, how upset would you be? And she got very emotional, started crying a little bit. 2-3 years of dating they'd been through, and she had mascara coming down her face, a snot bubble, the whole thing. And she said, 10 out of 10, I'll be broken. And I said to him, and you, David, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most, 0 being the least, how upset would you be? And he was like, I don't know, 6, 7 out of 10. Now, most people hear that and think, oh, what a terrible guy. How can he say such a thing? He won't be upset after 2-3 years of dating if they would just break up right now like that? How could this be? What I'm going to show you this evening, I want to just talk to you about dating in general and obviously marriage, because the dating we're going to be talking about is not just dating for fun, having a good time, but the dating to hopefully find your life partner, your beshert, your zivug, your life partner. So dating is definitely for all of us part of that process to help us reach that end goal. So I'm coming in this with the idea that the dating we're talking about is dating to find the person who could become your soulmate. That's what we're looking at this evening, my dear friends. How could this be? How can David turn around to Sarah and say, 6 out of 10 is how upset I would be? Isn't that cruel? The answer is it wasn't at all. He was being very honest. And actually, when I tell you what I want to tell you this evening, by the end of my discussion with you, you'll have a very good idea of exactly why he said that and how you can direct him into understanding what a relationship is all about. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. First of all, we have to realize that Judaism says the first mitzvah of the Torah is to get married. Right? Peruvu, according to most commentators, getting married isn't an option in Judaism. We fast on Yom Kippur, we eat kosher, we keep Shabbat, and we get married. And it's mitzvah number 1 that goes right back to the beginning of creation, to Adam and Chava. Now, what's amazing about this is actually, if you look at the description of Adam and Eve, Adam and Chava, it actually tells us the reason why you should get married and gives you dating advice. Dating advice, the Bible itself. Most people don't realize this. And it even gives us parentheses. I will explain. Listen very carefully, my friends. This is very important information that could change your life. The Torah says, when you're looking for a marriage partner, you want to find your ezer kenegdo. That's what the Torah says. Your ezer kenegdo. What is an ezer? An ezer, you may have heard the name Ezra. Maybe there's one watching this evening. Ezer means a helper. Someone who's helping you. What's a kenegdo? Kenegdo means opposite, against you. Well, how could that be? If you are helping me, if you're my ezer, how can you be my kenegdo? Either we're opposites or we're together. Which one is it? And the answer is that the Torah is telling us the person you're looking to spend the rest of your life with is someone who's going to be your ezer, who's going to help you. How? By being kenegdo, by going against you. Just like you build muscle by lifting weights. And the heavier the weight, The more resistance, the greater the muscle growth. Like you go to the gym and you see Mr. Goldberg lifting 1 pound weights and you're like, come on, Mr. Goldberg, are you kidding me? Do you really think you're building muscle right now? Right? Or Mrs. Cohen is on the treadmill, slowly going along, sipping her water. And you're like, come on, you need to ramp up the volume a little bit. And you, right? You got to put resistance. Resistance means growth. The Torah recognizes that and says it's very true physically, it's true emotionally and spiritually. And when it comes to marriage, which is the first mitzvah, your ezer, your helper, is going to help you by being against you. Now, what most people are looking for, let's be honest, and I was the same. I'm just celebrating my 20th anniversary. Thank God. I don't know how she survived that along with me. You ask most people, and they say, what exactly are you looking for? And I've asked this question to people. I remember once I asked this, I said, what are you looking for in a wife? And there was a young boy there, and he said, Rabbi, I'm looking for a girl who's going to be happy all the time. Happy with me. And when I come home, and she's there before me, she sees me, she's going to hug me, and she's not going to get angry at all, and be kind and nice. And I said, my friend, you're not looking for a wife, you're looking for a cat. That's not reality. Reality is you're looking for someone who's going to help you improve your character. Why get married is the question we need to ask ourselves. Because dating is the segue, it was meant to be the segue into marriage. So why get married at all? And I've heard every answer under the sun, and I won't go through them now. But some people say, I get married because I don't want to be lonely, because I want to have children. All fair. Many people want to get married so they can save money on the rent in Manhattan. I hear that too. Save money on your taxes. Come on, we're Jews. We're looking for an angle. Do you know why Judaism said you should get married? Why is it a mitzvah? Why is it the first mitzvah? The reason you're meant to get married, and you have to repeat this to ourselves even once you get married, is, ready for this? Here's the $1 million answer to the $1 million question. Actually, $20 million question, $20 million answer. And the answer is to improve your character. I'll say that again. Why are we going through this whole dating, relationship, marriage, wedding, in-laws? Oh my God, so much drama. Why? And the answer is so that we can become better people. Ezer kenegdo. I am going to become better at being me by a person pushing against me.
Rabbi, we're hearing you like a very big echo.
Maybe is everyone muted?
Oh, now you're back. You're good now.
Everyone needs to realize the reason to get married isn't to change your partner. It's not to buy a nice house in Long Island, which I respect as well. It's all good. All Queens. I know where you people are. The reason we get married is to improve ourselves. That's what we're looking at. And marriage is the iron crucible. Marriage and, God willing, kids as well, to help form us into better people. So everyone's getting married to change their partner, but it's the wrong way around. You're marrying your Ezer Kenegdo. So for example, I want to, I don't know, some people are not good with time, like me. And you come home late and you hang out with your friends and your wife, your husband's like, didn't I tell you to be here at 7 o'clock? And you're like, wow, what are you getting upset for? I am here. It's 9:15. What's the big deal? I thought you loved me. I thought you loved me, White. She's like, but haven't I told you to work on your time or to work on your patience or to work on your anger? All these things, all these character traits are rolled up into one big crucible, and that is character trait improvement. And that is the key reason that we get married, to become better people. So what's the goal? So that's why I get in. But what's my goal? So the Torah even gives us the goal for getting married. It says you're going to look for your Ezer Kenegdo. The person's going to push you, give you resistance, but your goal is Basar Echad. You want to become one flesh. What do those words mean, one flesh? So there are many commentaries on these two words in the Torah, in Genesis. One is by having children, which is actually the mitzvah of getting married, ultimately to have kids. The mitzvah is that you will become close friends and have kids. And your children are genetically 50-50. Half for you and half for your spouse. That is the Basar Echad. There's a wonderful book called the Sefer Mitzvah Gadolot. And he says, I'll tell you the reason. Basar Echad means one flesh. You become one. Not me and you, but us. Going from dating to marriage is turning the I into us and the me into we. Right? And it's hard work. It's really, really... I'm talking about a good marriage. Forget a bad one. It's really hard work. I once gave a talk and there was a girl came over to the end to ask me questions because I speak on this topic a lot. And she said, Rabbi, you keep talking about difficult marriages. She's like, can I ask you a personal question? I said, are you in a bad marriage? I was like, no. Why'd you ask? Because you keep saying how hard it is. And I was like, I'm in a good one. Can you imagine a bad one? It's hard enough as it is, let alone everything else. Oh, by the way, it's hard. But once the kids come, oh my God. Let me give you an example for those who are not blessed yet with children. There you are, eating when you want to eat, sleeping when you want to sleep, and you have a little baby, and you're about, that moment you're about to fall asleep, you got your head on the pillow, and that moment where you're just so comfortable and about to doze off into little dreamy land, and all of a sudden, that is marriage with kids. It's insane. Constant stress and pressure. That is the ezer kenegdo. And we have a choice how we react to those situations. What's the goal? Basar Echad. We become one flesh. Let me give an example, which actually is not my example. He gives this example. Imagine you see me, my friends, cutting a piece of meat. I'm in my kitchen. And as I cut the meat, you see me cut my hand. And then you see me do this. Stupid hand. Why'd you do that? Or you see me walking down the street and I trip up with my right foot. And then you see me get upset with myself and I kick my right foot with my left foot. What would you think about me? This rabbi's a complete meshugana. He's drinking the wrong drinks and maybe smoking the wrong cigarettes. This guy's completely crazy. Why? Because it's me. Why would I get angry with myself? What would I say? Oh, I made a mistake. All that hurt. I should be careful. That's what we're looking for in our spouses eventually. That I can't get upset with you, angry with you, because you are me and I am you. We've created a bond of oneness. Let me give you a quick, short story, one of my favorite stories to illustrate this idea. There was a great rabbi who lived in Israel in the mid-1900s. His name was Rabbi Ari Levin. I have a book about his life actually on my shelf here. One of my favorite books. Half the pages already fallen out. It's called A Tzaddik in Our Time. And this rabbi was loved by everyone. Soldiers and by Jewish prisoners. He used to visit prisons on Shabbat. Everyone loved him. He was very small, like 5 foot tall. One of these people that just everyone loved. And he was married for many, many years. Isn't this an amazing story? His wife had a lot of problems with her feet. And one day he had to go to the doctor to get some advice. How to deal with his, wife's foot problem. And so he accompanied his wife to the doctor. He didn't make her go by herself. And as soon as he arrived, the doctor saw this very great, lovely, sweet rabbi and invited him with his wife and they sat down and he turns around and says, how can I help? And the rabbi says, my wife's foot hurts us. Can you hear? It's not her foot, my foot. It's our foot and our foot is hurting us. That, my friends, is Basar Echad. That's what we're going to want to get to. While we're dating, what we're trying to do is establish the person who can be our ezer kenegdo. That's the beginning, right? That's the goalpost on one end, and our basar echad are one flesh by the other. That is what we are looking for. Are we looking for someone who's fun? Yeah, good looking. It helps. I'm not going to lie to you. You need someone you are attracted to because you're going to have to wake up every morning for many, many years, see that face, that punim looking at you, and you got to say, Moda ani lefanecha. Thank you, God, for waking me up this morning. You got to look at that face. I'm not going to lie. But it can't just be that. If that's all it is, my friends, if it's the person that's most fun, and let's be honest, I have had the honor of performing maybe 150 weddings at this point, right? And all of them have challenges in their first year. Shana Rishona, they have challenges in. There's no doubt about it, right? It takes hard work. There's many mitzvot about the first year of marriage. There's no doubt about it. Shana Rishona. And all of them have struggled. And all of them had difficulties. And they turn around like, Rabbi, I don't understand. When we first met, everything was amazing. He was so cute and so lovely. And she was so nice. And he used to open the door. And now the socks are on the floor. Underwear stuck in the sink, right? And he's drooling in the middle of the night. And all the unfortunate noises he's making. And it's up. I'm like, that's what you're looking for. Who's the person? Because eventually the looks are important, but they take on less importance, you know? And the fun is good, but it's not all fun. And the intimacy is important, right? Emotional and other intimacy. But eventually most of your life is, are we creating something together? Are we in this business together? And let's be honest, most marriages fail. 50% or more of marriages fail in the United States today. So how do you, if you're going to get, I've never had anyone stand over at a chuppah with me and say like, Rabbi, we want this marriage to last for 1 year and then, dayenu. A 1 year marriage is all we need. That's it, dayenu. No one ever says that. Imagine that. Under the chuppah, right? And your wife leans over and says, this will be done in 12 months. Not a good sign. We all think we can stay married for months and years, right? So how are we going to maximize our chances of success? And most people just jump in, don't they? Most people just get married without thinking about it. Right? You wouldn't do that with a job, right? You go to college, you prepare for your career. If you want to work in an industry, a lawyer, doctor, it takes time to prepare. This takes time to prepare as well. Your life actually is divided into two parts, PM and AM, pre-marriage and after marriage. And everything you're doing until you're standing under the chuppah is there to prepare you for that moment. And everything that happens afterwards, and when I say everything, I mean everything. Every irritation, every struggle, every challenge, you name it, was there to prepare you for that marriage. And then afterwards is there to maintain it, right? Which is, by the way, just as hard, if not harder. And that's your life. I know most of you divide your life by before college, after college, before law school, after law school, before my first million, after my first million, but that's not the real division of life. The real division of life is pre and after marriage. That's the crease that actually folds your life together. And everything goes into it and then examines after it. Okay, with that 20-minute introduction, by the way, I've got a million more things to tell you, but I'll keep going until they pull me off Zoom. Let's look at some habits when it comes to dating. So I'm going to start with finding common goals. Right? That's what you're really looking for. There was a Gallup poll a few years ago, and they wanted to figure out what was the reason that people ended up getting divorced. What was the main factor? And only 5% said physical abuse, 10% said arguments over money, family, or children. By the way, money is something which is its own topic. We're going to have a whole discussion just on money and relationships a little bit later. It takes a long time to figure out money and finances and shalom bayit when it comes to money. By the way, you know the secret to shalom bayit? My wife asks me for something, I buy it, we have shalom. That's a good joke there. I hope you appreciated it. I'll be here all night. Enjoy the chicken. 17% say infidelity. 16% because of alcohol or drug abuse. 47% attributed their divorces to incompatibility. What does that mean? You need to have the same vision. Where are we going? What am I doing this for? Why am I getting married anyway? What is my goal? Where do I want to see myself in 5 years, in 10 years? People don't discuss these questions. If they do, it's very, very late in the relationship. Very, very late. These stuff needs to be discussed early. Listen, if you're 17, 18 and dating for fun, these questions aren't important. I'm talking to the people who are thinking in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. By the way, age over here is a number. I deal with people in their 40s who have the emotional stability when it comes to relationships of a 22-year-old. And I deal with guys and girls who are 19, 20, who are mature and just kind of get it, you know? Maybe they're born with it, maybe it comes from their family, but it's a learnable skill. Marriage and the dating that takes you into that realm is a learnable skill. You can learn how to do it right. There's things you do and there's things you don't do. There's a great report over here. You won't believe this, or maybe you will. It came from Reuters, I actually put it in my book, and said that what's happened, unfortunately, in our day and age, is that people are dragging their feet on getting married. The average age of marriage maybe 40 years ago was, I think, 24, 25. And now it's 28, 29 for a girl. And we know for a lot of men, right, unless they're in the Orthodox world, 30, 31, 32, and even in that world as well, people are pushing it off. And they, unfortunately, describe most dating relationships as a quasi-wife or quasi-husband. That's what most people are in. I'm kind of married, but I'm not really married. I'm in a relationship. And we just go on and on and on. And if I tell you how many emails and calls I get, people like, we're dating for 2 years, we're not ready, maybe we're the 3rd year, and it just goes on and on, right? Let me ask you this. Would you ever dream of going into your friend's wallet or pocketbook and taking money out? Would you ever dream of breaking into a close friend's house, stealing things from their home, taking their television, their flat screen, their iPhone, and selling it? You would never do that. You would never steal from a friend. You know what Judaism considers more important than things, than objects, than money? You know the answer. Time. Time. Stealing time is worse than stealing things, because things can be returned, but time cannot. And therefore, this dating experience that we're seeing today, and we've all been involved in it, unfortunately, dating for months and years. I mean, I know people who date 4, 5, 6, 9 years. This is insanity. You can crunch it down. It's unfair. You're stealing people's time, right? We have to at some point jump in. And we learn this from a very interesting episode in the Torah, which on the face of it has nothing to do with dating whatsoever. It's the splitting of the Red Sea. We know the water of the Red Sea was in front of the Jewish people. And behind the Jewish people were the Egyptians. So imagine 7 days after leaving Egypt, we have the Egyptians behind us ready to kill us. And in front of us, we have the Red Sea. And we were trapped. As far as we were concerned, we were all going to die. Says the Torah, you know what marriage, finding a marriage partner and getting married and being married is like? That moment of being trapped at the Red Sea. Why? Because there are going to be points in your relationship where you're going to feel trapped, whether you're dating or you're married. And it's not the yumps of the Red Sea in front of you, it's your parents. And it's not the Egyptians behind you, it's your in-laws. You know what I'm talking about. And what happened? How did the sea split? So if you watch the movie, read the book, it's better. We know that Moses put his staff out and a wind came that had been blown the whole night and split the sea. The Gemara tells us, the Talmud tells us, actually it was something else that happened. There was a great Jew, a prince of the tribe of Yehuda, of Judah. His name was Nachshon ben Aminadav. And do you know what he did? He walked into the water before anybody else. And the water went up to his ankles and his knees and his waist, and up to his throat, and it covered his mouth, and it was about to cover his nose. Then the staff went out, the sea split, and we all went through, we all got saved. That, say the rabbis, is the secret to any good relationship. At some point, you can pray, which we're going to talk about. It's an important thing to do. But at some point, you just have to jump in, and the sea split. And at that point, you need to have a good sense of humor. Because when you deal with parents and in-laws, as the old joke goes, what's the difference between in-laws and outlaws? Outlaws are wanted. I'm only kidding. I have wonderful in-laws, thank God. I think my mother-in-law's watching this class. Friends, at some point, you just have to jump in. It takes courage, finding compatibility, and then at some point, jump in. People always ask me, how do you know? Oh, what time is a good time? I'm going to give you, actually, a real time frame. And this is not the same for everyone, but this is a good general time frame. I'm talking about real, serious, emotional, intimate dating, where you really get to know the person, not just like hanging out and going to movies all the time, restaurants, vacations, like really getting to know the person. Because I know people who date for months and years and don't know each other. I know people who are married for years and don't know each other. Actually, a good friend of ours got divorced and she said, I was married for 15 years, I never really knew him. You hear that statement a lot. They're being honest. They never really got to know each other. There was no emotional intimacy. And you know what intimacy is? Intimacy equals into me you see. Intimacy is into me you see. People willing to open themselves up, become vulnerable. That is not easy. That's a very scary thing to do. It takes time, effort, and sometimes usually a third party to coax that out of you. And that is what we're trying to do. We're trying to build that intimacy so that we're able to jump in. And how long does that take? Don't get too shocked. Don't jump out of the Zoom or the Facebook Live class. 6 months. 6 months, you know. 6 months. I don't say you have to get married after 6 months, right? I mean, Hasidim do. I mean, they get married after 1 month or one date. Okay, that's not for us. But 6 months, let's be honest. If you're honest with yourself, you know by 6 months. And if there's any red flags, they appear. And every divorce I've been involved in and counsel people with, they always say, there is no exception. I saw red flags when we were dating very early on, but I ignored them because I was in love. I was in love. You know? Actually, falling in love when you get married is a dangerous game to be. I'll explain why. Let's talk about love a little bit, because we're going to be dating. Everyone wants to fall in love. What's the Hebrew word for love? What's the Hebrew word for love? It's ahava. Ahava. Now, for most people, ahava is a cream being sold by Israelis in the malls around New York and New Jersey. Well, before it was a highly overpriced cream being sold by extremely pushy Israelis making a lot of money in the mall business, it was an idea. What is the idea of ahava? So the rabbis tell us the word ahava has a shorish. Every Hebrew word has a shorish, a root that reveals the essence of the word and therefore the idea. Actually, Hebrew is the only language where the word for a word and the word for a thing are the same. It's a davar. A davar. Okay, a word and thing are the same. So any word helps us understand what that thing is. And love is no exception. I'll give you another example, actually. What's the Hebrew word for a face? Is a panim. A panim is a face. Now the same letters panim, pei, nun, yud, mem, also spell panim inside. So the word for a face is the same word for panim inside. Why would the word for a face be the same for the word inside? My face isn't inside, it's on the outside. Well, how do you know how someone's doing? You don't look at their hand, all right, or their knee or their foot, look at their face. If you look at a person's face, you know how they're doing inside. If I walk in like this, you know I'm happy. If I walk in like this, you know I'm sad. My panim reflects my panim. Your face reflects your insides. Let's be honest. Let's be honest with each other. Have you ever met a guy or a girl and thought, wow, they are so beautiful. Look at that girl. She is gorgeous. She's so pretty. Or a guy, oh, he's so good looking. And then you get to know them a little bit. You get to know their panim, their insides, and they're not nice people. Actually, they're downright awful. And actually their face changes. Their panim reflects on their panim and they become ugly. You ever experienced that before? Or the other way around. You meet some girl and think, oh, she's so ugly. Look at that guy. Oh my God, I can't look at him. Put a bag on his head. And then you get to know them. You get to know their panim. And they're really nice people. And it shines on their face. And they actually become better looking. Their face changes. They become better looking. My wife says, when she first met me, okay, never mind. Panim, by the way, the word for face is from the Latin word, I think it's Latin, facade, pure exterior. It's not for us. How do I know this is true? The Hebrew words are revealing it to me. Okay, a dog is a kelev. Kolev, all heart, man's best friend. Everything in this world can be brought down to the blueprint of the Hebrew letters that are assigned to it. Another class, not for now. I mentioned because the Hebrew word is ahava. The word ahava doesn't just mean love, it means have to give. The more you give, the more you love. Therefore, while you're dating, what you're really looking for, besides good looks and a nice career and all the other stuff that we're obsessed with, which are important, I'm not going to put them away, you're looking for someone who is a giver. And how can you tell that? Well, what are they like while you're dating? Are they respectful? Do they give you time? Do they talk nicely about other people? Are they giving to you? Do they have patience? How do they deal with a waiter or waitress? How do they treat the guy or the girl in the parking lot? right? You know the guy who gets the tickets? And you're like, here's my ticket. And then a guy comes after you and gives their ticket and they get their car first. And the guy or girl would say, hey, I was here first. Like, wait, 1 second. Maybe your car was parked behind. All these are indicators. All these are indicators of who the future person you're with is going to be. You cannot change the person you're going to be. You can only change yourself, as we said. You're looking to become your Ezer Kenegdo, improve yourself. That, my friends, is what we're looking for. So we're looking to become givers. Who is a great giver? Because in the end, I mean, let's be honest, what is relationship and marriage? In the end, it's just free giving. No one's going to pay you to out the garbage. No one's going to pay you to change a diaper. No one's going to change you, take care of your kids. It's all voluntary work. And therefore, you want to establish whether the person you're with is someone who is a giver or a taker. Now, we all give sometimes and we all take. But you're trying to figure out the essence of the person. And that's why I tell everyone, one of the best things you should do while you're dating, while you're a single person, everyone should, 1 hour of voluntary work a week. And if not 1 hour, half an hour or 10 minutes. But it's a given. The week is not going to pass without me doing a little bit of voluntary work, not paid, just selfless giving, because eventually all the hours of all your days are going to be full of it. So you've got to flex that muscle as early as possible. A great habit of a successful dater is looking for someone who is a giver. And that is something you can see. Are they selfish? Are they taker? Or are they giver? That's the secret to ahava, the secret to love. Let's go back to our couple for just 1 minute. With that information on board. Now, remember we started this discussion with a couple. And I was counseling them. And she wanted to get married within a year or so. And he was looking 4 or 5 years. And then I said, if you were to break up right now, how upset would you be? And she said 10 out of 10. And he said, I'd only be 6 out of 10 if we broke up right now. And when you heard that, you thought, what a terrible guy. He's not terrible. What does that show me? What does that teach me? I'll tell you what it teaches me. The guy had been given and had been giving, but not as much as her. He'd been invested in the relationship, but only 6 out of 10. She had been invested 10 out of 10. He was only invested 6 out of 10. Nothing wrong with that. It's just a reality. There's always going to be a give and take. So when he said that if I were to break up right now, I'll be kind of upset, but not totally upset. It was just revealing to me, and more importantly to her, that she'd given a lot more to the relationship, which is why when they broke up, which eventually they did, I mean, of course, they broke up, got back together again, in, out, shake it all about. You know, they went through the breakup, and then the stalking on Facebook and social media, and unfriending, and then refriending, and they got together again, eventually it broke up. Of course. By the way, whatever happened to that couple? She ended up getting married very soon after. Very soon after she got married, thank God. She has 2 kids now, and he's living with his girlfriend. So I think they both got what they wanted in the end. Giver or taker. That's the essence. That's what we're looking for. Because in the end, it's all voluntary work. There's a couple of challenges we have, though. I don't know how long I have over here. Sarah B. or Esther or Rabbi Rumba, you tell me when to... We're good. Okay. A few more ideas. And then I'll let you go to your quiz this evening or the rest of your evenings. We do have a challenge which we have 2020, which our ancestors, our parents, and definitely our grandparents did not have. And what's that? What's that? We have a disease today, and the disease is called TMC. Listen very carefully. TMC. What does TMC stand for? Too much choice. Too much choice. You see, our grandparents or great-grandparents back in the shtetl in Europe or back in the old city or town in Syria, Persia, Iraq, Bukhara, wherever you're from, it was always the same. How did you get married? Well, first of all, you were young. I mean, really young. Your parents said, there's a nice girl over there. There's a nice guy over there. We think you should get married. Now, they couldn't force you because that's against halakha. But that's the way it was. Right? And if you were really an impressive person from a rich family, you got to choose someone from the next town. Right? The next town. But abroad, another country, Forget that. You were stuck. You were limited. Now, 2020, pre-corona, but 2020, what are we dealing with? TMC. So much choice. They did a great experiment. In a supermarket. You know, you go to Costco, and there's like free food samples they always have. And people like get obsessed with that. A free cookie. Oh my God. This is the best thing ever, right? And all the Jewish people grab a cookie and they walk around the aisle, come back for a second, and they're like, did I see you before? No. It's my twin brother, right? Second cookie, third cookie, woo, right? They did an experiment with a jam. You can look this up. I put this in my book. With jam, they put out 30 different types of jam, of jelly, you know? And people could try it. And they found that like 80% of the people who walked past these 30 jams or jellies tasted them. But only like 5 or 10% ended up buying. The next day, they reduced the amount of 30 jams to like 7 or 6 jams. And they found that very few people stopped to try from that selection. But whoever did stop and try the jam or jelly, 80% bought. The amount of people who bought was much higher when the selection was low. So this is one of the challenges that we have with so much selection. And this is just the way it is. I don't have too much to say about it, but at least we need to be aware. We need to be aware of what we are dealing with when it comes to the amount of selection that we have. But there is something we can do. And I speak a lot about this. People get upset with me. But my friends, I'm not PC. I'm AC. I'm not politically correct. I'm absolutely correct. This multiple dating disease has got to stop. First of all, it's cruel. But second of all, it's not even good for you. For your own mental health. Right? People, I mean, who are you dating? I'm not dating. I'm seeing a few people. I'm like, I don't even know what that means. When you're seeing a few people. Actually, now I do know what it means. I'm not going to say it in public. You know what it means. But it's not healthy. It's not fair. Right? This multiple dating where you got 2, 3, 4, 5 girls or guys, right, on rotation until one just comes out. It's not fair to them because as far as they're concerned, they're the only one. But it's also not good for you. You need to have one and focus on it. Let me say it like this. And this may sound insane to you, but just go with me. You find that one person and you date them. That is the person you are going to marry until you break up or get married. Say that again. The person you're dating in your mind is, I'll marry this person. Imagine that. Imagine going through life like, I'm going to marry this person until, I'm not going to. Or you end up under the chuppah. It's going to be one or the other. That we know for sure. And that's the way to be, because this constant distraction of guys and girls on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and all being thrown at us is discombobulating. You need to focus, pick one person and remove yourself from all these other people until you're able to just focus on this one individual. Another tip, since we're talking of great habits. I had a friend of mine who was dating a girl. He was very young. He was like 19, 20, but he was a serious guy. And during the date, he thought it went very well. He spoke to the girl who set them up after the date, and she's like, she doesn't want to see you again. He's like, why not? It was a great date. It went really, really well. I really want to see her again. So he says, well, she got very embarrassed during the date. It's like, why? She goes, well, at some point she fell down and tripped, and her skirt jumped up a little bit, and she got so embarrassed, she can't see you again. And he's like, oh my God, it was like nothing. What's the big deal? She's like, no, she felt so embarrassed, she'd rather not date you again. And they both carried on dating, and they went their separate ways. This guy was in his late 30s, and he dated like every Jewish girl he can imagine. Tons of them. He was on a date with a girl, and he was talking to her, and they were schmoozing, and they were getting on great. They had a lot in common, And he's like, wow, I wish I would have met you a long time ago. And she's like, yeah. And they were talking more. And then she's like, you look familiar to me. And he's like, really? He goes, yeah. She goes, many years ago I went on a date and I fell over. I got very, very embarrassed. And it's like, that was me. That was me. And they met up, and within like 4 or 5 dates, at that age, they knew, and they got engaged, and they got married. And I tell you this story for a number of reasons. First of all, look, timing is everything. And sometimes the timing is above us. Could they have got married in 1920? I don't know. I'm not God. Hashem has a time for everything. There's a time to be single, time to get married. Also, I know many people who get married young and it's the wrong shidduch. People who get married in their late 30s and it's the right shidduch. I have very close family members who have to wait, and Baruch Hashem, it comes. It's Hashem's time. We don't know when your zivug could actually arrive. You got to have faith, you got to have emunah and bitachon and trust that the right person is going to come at the right time. Just because you think you found your soulmate doesn't mean you're guaranteed to have a successful marriage. I'll say that again. Just because you found your soulmate, oh my God, we have so much in common, right? We have friends in common, and we both went on vacation at the same place, and your dog is the same name as my dog, and we have the same psychiatrist. Who would have thought? It's just amazing. We're meant to be. It's not a guarantee for success. If you don't put in the effort, you don't put in the giving, you don't jump into the Yam Suf, it's not going to work. All right? We learn this from Esav. Esav was meant to marry Leah. That was his beshert, his zivug. His soulmate was Leah. Think about that. Yaakov was meant to marry Rachel. 2 older sisters, 2 older brothers. What happened? What happened? Actually, some say Rachel and Leah are actually twins, just like Yaakov and Esav were. What happened? Esav said, no. She made me my zivug, my beshert, but I want to marry out of the faith and leave the family and get out. Terrible decision, which is why Jacob, Yaakov, ended up having to marry 2 sisters, which is not something we're allowed to do. Now, this was before the Torah was given, so it was permitted. Right? But since then, not allowed. Actually, it was so taboo that even Yaakov could only be buried with one wife, with Leah, and Rachel had to be buried elsewhere. So people would say, wow, Jacob married sisters? Unusual. Yeah? You don't know your zivug is, and if you did find your zivug, it still takes incredible work to find that clarity. Okay, let's summarize everything we said, and then we'll finish, because I've spoken for a long time. It's enough, right, Rabbi? Dayenu. Number 1, find common goals. Find someone you have something compatible with, right? What's my vision? Where do I want to be? And the way to do that is to get to know each other with questions. This group dating disease and hanging out is not good enough. And virtual dating is good to maintain a relationship, but not to attain it. Okay? This whole not social media, virtual dating, whether it's a phone or Zoom. I mean, now we're kind of stuck, right? But in long distance relationships, you can maintain something, but you're not going to attain and create a relationship that way. It's not going to move forward. You're looking for your basar achad. How do you get to that point? Being ezer kenegdo, right? Being your ezer kenegdo, coming against you, okay? You're there in a relationship to improve yourself. That's what we're looking for. That's the ultimate goal. The person who's going to help me become me. That is what we're looking for. Work on yourself, not on your partner. We said TMC, too much choice. Narrow it down. Okay, when you're dating someone, try to remove yourself as much as possible from every other option. Someone's like, I got a great girl for you. Like, hold on. If this thing doesn't work, I'll come back to you. Right now, I may have found the one. Even if you're not so sure. By the way, always give it a second date if you can. If you can. Right? The reason you go out the first time is so the second time isn't the first time. First time dates aren't so amazing. People are embarrassed and stupid, blah, blah, blah. Say silly things. Give it a second chance if you can. And what's love? Being a giver. Okay, I've spoken for a long time, my friends. Hope you've all enjoyed it. I'm going to put my email in the chat. If you want the notes from this talk, you're more than willing to see it. Or find my Facebook page, Rabbi Lawrence Hadjoff from this class will be there so you can go through it again and show it to your boyfriends, your girlfriends to say, you see what you're meant to be doing for me? This is what you have to be. Okay? It's a pleasure. Thank you, Sarah B. and Esther and Rabbi Rutenberg for allowing me to be on this Zoom call with all of you. I wish you all the blessing of finding your zivug, your soulmate, very, very soon.
Thank you, Rabbi Hazel.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was unbelievable. Amazing. Okay, Esther, can you explain to all of us exactly what we're going to do? I just want to tell everybody with the game, please don't leave because we're going to play the game. The game, the first prize is going to be $75 Amazon gift card. Second prize will be $50 Amazon gift card. The third prize winner is going to be a $25 Amazon gift card. And everyone on the chat right now is going in a raffle. And you will get $50 to whoever wins. Welcome, Rabbi Kiko, who just joined us. So just please make sure, Esther, everybody has to put their name, right? Okay, so for everybody, switch their name.